Shut up and sit down.
It's where the big boys play. SICW.
Welcome to Square Read Podcast, everybody, episode 76. Today we are going to be talking about the CAC, showing some pictures. And since I didn't go, I probably won't say much this episode.
You didn't go?
How's it going, Jim? How's it going, bud?
What's up? Not bad. But you didn't go? I thought I'd seen you there.
No, I was dealing with some legal crap that had nothing to do with me. But you know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished, because I was off dealing with that shit, which still continues tomorrow. And the AC broke again.
I really thought he was one of those street performers out there.
That's what I was thinking, too. I swear he had tassels on.
Yeah, and all the feather boas and stuff.
Hey, you know how hard it is as a guy to get those things going in opposite direction?
Practice makes perfect.
It was like the first year Jim went when he was up there with the Michael Jackson dude. You know, Jim, you're not supposed to put tassels on your balls.
I seen him again. He was actually wrestling a midget. And the guy came out with a bulletproof vest, looked just like 50 Cent. Came out singing his song, and it was a hell of a show. I'll tell you that. If our promoter Herb Simmons would have seen it, he probably would have just turned around and left. But there is like a niche for some wrestling that's kind of comedic, and that was definitely comedic because you had on one side you had a guy dressed up like Michael Jackson, and the other guy is a midget that looks like 50 Cent, and it was funnier than hell.
I don't know if it got cut off during the freezing there, but his name was 25 Cent.
25 cents? You got some change back.
Right.
And then you had Gary and I. We went in there, and the first match was already going, and we tried to cross just where you walk, and the midgets came out of the ring, and one of them grabbed Gary and tried to hide behind him, and ended up getting his face shoved in his butt.
Man, instead of 25 Cent, he should have been called 2 Bits. Same thing.
Well, that was a different midget.
Oh, okay. 2 Bits is a different one. I bet you both were nuts over those guys, though, weren't you? Larry the Cable Guy joke.
The funny thing about that match was at one point in time, Michael Jackson went underneath the ring, and they started playing Thriller. And so he popped back out with a wolf mask on and started kind of dancing like Michael Jackson in the video Thriller. And then he started wrestling again and bit 25 Cents. And he fell out of the ring and underneath the ring. And all of a sudden he comes back on with a wolf mask. And they both start dancing to Thriller. And then eventually the midget got the best of Michael Jackson and actually pinned him. And it was just a very funny comedic. I'm glad I didn't pay for it type of wrestling show.
Don't tell me you guys spent money on that.
No.
Absolutely not.
Thank God that normally when you walk around with your CAC badge, Cauliflower Alley badge, that's one of the perks. They normally let you into the wrestling shows for free. And the whole night was, it was fun. It definitely entertained me. Probably one of the best entertaining nights there was out there. For laughs and enjoyment. Getting to meet all the legends out there. I mean, that you couldn't ask for anything much better than that. But before we get more involved in anything, can you go ahead and put that picture up? Reason why we're putting this picture up is just that he was announced that he passed away today. This is Sid Vicious / Sid Justice. It's so bad, but he passed away from cancer. I don't know what kind of cancer he had, but I know he was fighting it for a while. because he was actually slated to come in for us a few years ago, and he had to drop out because he was just going through chemo, and he didn't think he was going to be well enough to come to our show. I want to say that was the same time that Kevin Nash was supposed to come to one of our shows as well. No, Kevin Nash was through COVID, so he got canceled because of COVID kind of shut us all down.
I gotta say, like, I'm just on Wikipedia, and it just said he passed away, age 63 from cancer. Nothing on the kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, his son was the one that announced it to the world that he had passed today. Just a sad moment. We've lost a lot of legends this year, and to me, Sid was still way too young. You know, he
63.
there was I mean, he's had multiple stories told. Man, I can't even talk. Told about him. One of the main ones was when he got fired along with Arn Anderson because they got into a fight, a legitimate fight at a show, and it kind of carried on to where they went back to the hotel room, where Arn Anderson was in his hotel room and Sid come knocking at the door with something he was going to use as a weapon. I don't know if it was a baseball bat or a tire iron or something, but he had something. And as soon as Arn answered the door, they just went at it. And Arn grabbed what he could, which was a pair of scissors, and they stabbed each other multiple times with the scissors. And Eric Bischoff tells the best story about it because he said that he fired Sid right away and kind of like suspended Arn Anderson about it. And the reason being is Sid was the aggressor in that fight, since he actually went to Arn's hotel room and was trying to beat him up. And it's just that Arn got I don't know who got the best of each other, but they both ended up having scissor cuts on them, stab wounds. But
I'm going to say they both lost because it went to violence, and they both won because nobody died.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. There was
I'm not
another
seeing
video.
anything. I'm not seeing anything on the kind of cancer. It said he's had it for years. And then one other note on there that's kind of unheard of in the pro wrestling world is he had a wife of 30 years. That's pretty unheard of in the pro wrestling world.
Yeah, definitely. Another funny story is there are some times where he would no-show wrestling shows because he would actually ditch out of wrestling shows so he can play softball in his league that he was in. That's just, softball you don't get paid for unless it's like a tournament or something. And even at that, you're playing all day for that money. But it's just a shame to hear that he passed.
Did you move that Aztec skull of yours?
Can you hear me now?
Is that what it was?
I didn't move the statue. Yes.
You moved that Aztec skull, and now you pissed off the spirits.
Do I need to have you borrow my crystal skull?
See, you guys
Kind of
both.
level it out. I know I have a crystal skull that I keep in a box because every time I take it out, weird things always happen in the house, so I just leave them in there. Got him in the mountains of Northern California.
I wanted to try Crystal Skull vodka. Does that count?
I hear it's all right.
That's actually pretty cool. You know who owns that company? Or
Dan
used to
Aykroyd?
own that company? Yeah, Dan Aykroyd.
Ghostbusters.
You're right.
Now we
Come on,
just
buddy, show your shirt up. Your shirt.
What?
Your shirt.
Mine? Yeah.
Yep. Cauliflower Alley Club.
Same one as, I don't know if we want to say it now, but it's the poster. And then on mine, it's got Kurt Angle's autograph on it. And what I think is even cooler, if I can get it without the reflection, instead of the traditional WWE Hall of Fame like he put on everybody else's, we were talking about my son's wrestling, so he put 96 gold on it instead.
Nice.
So mine's a little bit different than everybody else's there.
The challenge for your boy. He needs to go get gold now.
He's got a couple more steps before he gets to the Olympics.
Not by much. They're getting younger
Yeah, I
and
wonder
younger.
how this.
So, I was gonna say, before we get any farther, getting into your guys' excellent weekend, we had a milestone. We got our 400 subscribers, so woo-hoo, only 100 more, and then we need 100 more after that.
Woot woot.
But we're also going to be adding something else where we're going to be in studio reacting to new and old wrestling movies, not just movies that have wrestlers in it, but wrestling movies about wrestling. And then if that goes well, we move on from there. And hopefully the new people that come in watch all the other wrestling stuff in the podcast. So, and then start coming to the shows.
You know, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I've seen some podcasts actually like rewatch old like WCW shows and do commentating over it too. I think that would probably be pretty cool. If anything,
would,
to
but
relive the moment of the old.
it,
Well, I've seen it before where like they have the video that they're watching, but some of it's blurred out. You know, that way they, I don't know, you know, they can't, you know, get us for copyright or something like that.
well, I mean, we're just gonna have to talk to Billy, you know, and with NWA and all that crap, see if we can put our own twist to it.
All right. Billy don't own the WCW though,
No, that's why I said NWA.
right?
I don't know. We'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens. All they can do is sue me again. Won't work though.
Well, from what I gathered, they wouldn't get anything, right?
Ain't getting nothing.
All right.
They don't know just how boring and pathetic my life is. That while they're going off and doing things, I can sit there and think of all kinds of nasty shit to do to them.
Okay.
And that's
All
why
right.
he's nasty me.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and get started with the CAC. CAC is it's a 3-day thing. It's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it starts off pretty early in the morning. You know, I think everything starts opening up about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. You know, 9 o'clock you start getting your badges and stuff. So Bobby was pretty smart. He booked a hotel Sunday night to Thursday morning. That way we can get there Sunday, and you know, and Wednesday after the main show we can leave Thursday morning. You know, after everything's said and done. So pretty smart on his end. So we both went out there Sunday. Technically Monday morning because by the time the plane 2:30. It was about 2:30 when we got to the hotel room. So technically Monday morning. So we did, you know, try to catch some sleep before we had to get up and actually start getting motivated. But we did, and we ended up having. I think did we go to breakfast Monday morning too?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we went to breakfast with a couple of our friends that went down there. One of them being Rick Ruby. But we always go to this place. It's an all-you-can-eat brunch buffet, so it's got breakfast and a little bit of lunch.
Gold Coast.
It's just the hotel next to ours, so it's not that far of a walk or anything like that. So that was pretty cool. And then we came back to our hotel and got our badges, and then that allowed us to go into this room that they have set up. Now, normally it has a bunch of old pictures, old wrestling promo pics, and sometimes it has some historical stuff. I was kind of a little disappointed this year because they really didn't have much historical stuff at all, and barely had any pictures.
Yeah, it was definitely more about the merchandise tables and people selling stuff in there this year.
Yeah,
It's
and
called the nostalgia room, but there was not much nostalgia.
right. So I kind of wish that I voiced my opinion to some people, but I think it needs to be voiced by some people that have some pull behind the strings, because I've gone to Waterloo, Iowa, and they have the museum there, and you can walk through that museum and see all this historical stuff. Luthez championship belt, Harley Race's boots, and they're bronze, and so many other neat old posters, old statues.
Did you put the Aztec skull back?
No, I didn't. So it's probably going to screw up here again in a minute. So anyway, the nostalgia room is really not nostalgia anymore, and comparing it to Waterloo, Iowa, it's just night and day. So I kind of wish that someone would, complain a little higher up and start getting more stuff involved into this to this room. Like Bobby said, they're more interested in the wrestlers selling their gimmicks and stuff like that, to the fans. And they keep talking about wanting to make this bigger and better. Now this is what, our third year.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is our third year, and I think when it comes to this particular room, it's been the worst year. Now, don't get me wrong, Cauliflower Alley Club is a great organization, but if they're wanting to build this bigger and better every year, they need to throw more at it. And I understand they had two very legendary headliners this year. You had Kurt Angle. Well, you had Sting headlining the first night, which was Tuesday night, and then you had Kurt Angle headlining Wednesday night. But for Monday night, Monday's the first day that you're meeting everyone and greeting everyone and walking through everything. And then Tuesday and Wednesday during the day, they got like seminars that you can. And I hate to use the word seminars, but that's what they use. It's actually just like Harley Race's son and his ex-wife sat at a table and they were being interviewed by a friend of ours who is a Canadian writer, and he's wrote a lot of books. He just recently wrote Medusa's book, but they were being interviewed by him, and so we were just there to listen about the stories they were telling. And then can actually ask questions and tell their stories about Harley Race.
I was didn't say it before. I was trying to look up her name because I'm terrible with names. Lori McGee Hurst, who saved all that Texas pro wrestling stuff from down there, she donated stuff to a bunch of museums and stuff too. I am sure she would be happy to give something to Cauliflower Alley Club to put on display up there.
Well, Herb has
Yeah.
garages full of stuff. How come he doesn't at least take it down there and have it set up?
Well, I mean, there's a lot that he has, and he wants to build a museum here. So I understand why Herb didn't take anything down there. However, they have a storage unit that they keep all year round, and or even that, you would think like the president, which is Brian Blair, would hang on to some of the more expensive things that I would not recommend putting into a storage unit. Or Rich, and I love Rich. You know, I told the story before when I was in the hospital. Rich called me up, making sure I was okay. And when I got out of the hospital, he called me up, make sure I was good, doing good. And this is really my only complaint about the Cauliflower Alley. And because everything else, well, I mean, they could do better on their seminars too. At
Yeah,
least,
this year was probably my least favorite seminars of the 3 years.
yeah. I mean,
Like as a whole, I'm not going to call any one individual. Like as a whole, it was my least.
yeah, and I kind of agree on that too. None of it really made me want to come and watch it. It was one of those things where it was something that we could do, so we hit a couple of them up. Um, but yeah, nothing really called to me and say, "Oh, I got to be at this one," because it's a lot of information I'm going to need and use and stuff like that. Um, Again, I'm not trying to rip Cauliflower Alley Club a new one or anything like that. Great club. It's for a great cause. But I just think they need to throw more money into it, and or at least have some. I mean, a lot of collectors will donate things, and most of the stuff that's at Iowa at the museum, some of it's donated, where it's on display.
I mean, at that point, they need to have somebody in the club that reaches out to the
Well,
collectors.
that's what, from my understanding, this is a complete non-for-profit, and we definitely know it's all about helping the wrestlers. I'm sure it would be easier to get a donation for somewhere like this than the other places.
Not for profit, but the nostalgia room was a for profit room. Not for the CAC, but you on
We
Wi-Fi?
still
You
on?
taking Wi-Fi again?
I guess. Um, the legends they had. Well, just not even the legends, the wrestlers that they brought in. They had the Dudley Boys there for a while that you can get autographs from and pictures from. They had Alfonso from ECW there. They had a couple of the Glow Girls there. Um, Haku was always roaming around. Bob Orton's always
Yeah, but
who's there.
did you guys get into a fight with Haku? Did anything from his betrayal
No, we always
translate
got
to
that rule with
the
her. You fight there, you're fired.
CAC? Oh,
You got to be careful with that. We don't want to come back to not having our jobs. And
um,
security around Vegas
but
is usually
anyhow,
pretty good too.
well, there's a couple of vampires there.
Yeah.
well, one of them got honored, Gary Jackson. But, so it was pretty cool. The people that were inside the nostalgia room, because I'm going to show you a couple things. Um, they had a guy there that took all the old Japanese wrestling figures and was, what do they call them? They're not a reboot, but they're, uh,
Reimagined,
Remake.
redesigned.
it's a remake basically. There's a special term that people use for figures, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and He-Man and stuff like that. Um, but so this guy took the classic Japanese wrestling figures. Now, it's like one of the most expensive wrestling figures is the Hulk Hogan before he made it to the is like it's his very first figure. It's even before the Rocky figure that I showed you guys before, and that thing is priceless. But it's the same style of wrestling figures that these are. And matter of fact, I could have bought that replica. That's what these are called. These are replicas of the original ones. So, this is Legion of Doom here. which is pretty cool. You know, great tag team. And the reason I got them is because Animal. Well, I mean, I love the tag team, but you know, I had a kind of a great conversation with Animal when he was brought in from her, and I had more of a connection to getting those guys. And then I also got two more. Terry Funk, you know, he will always be a great wrestler and movie actor, so I had to get him. And then definitely I had to get Bruiser Brody. Now, they had two versions of this one. For some strange reason, in Japan, like almost every figure has one that's all silver. Like there's no paint job at all. There's no paint on it at all. It's just completely silver. And I don't know why they do that, but I didn't want to have that one. I wanted the one that actually looks like Bruiser Brody. So these look, even the packaging looks exactly like the Japanese old style was. And the figures, you know, they don't have like joints that can bend the arms and the legs like the figures do nowadays. But still, I just wanted to have, you know, like a version of those figures. So I picked those up the very first day we were there.
Open it up and
But
see how much you can move it.
Let
well,
it
actually,
breathe.
it's easy to do
Oh.
because the back just slides out and it just
Oh,
slides apart.
here,
So
I
it's
thought I was
not
making a
like.
funny joke.
So I mean, they are a little flexible, but for the most part, they are stiff. So it's not the best figure to be playing with or anything like that. But
I thought I was making a funny joke, and he just threw it right back in my face.
right, that's why I did it. So these ones you can definitely let breathe. But the backing on them looks great, so I'm just going to keep them inside the case, and that way when my dog decides when she decides that she's going to chew on it, I at least have a few seconds before she gets to the actual figure, so I can, you know, get it out of her mouth.
Shot collar.
Well, that's the bad thing about my living room. I got so much stuff that she can get in trouble pretty quick. But she has free roam of this house when we're not here. So I might not get to it in time before she gets in trouble.
Bobby,
But
you were unpacking stuff before we started. What figures did you get?
I didn't order no figures. I got my autographed Kurt Angle picture, and I have a Bruiser Brody pin, but it's not up here with me right now. Like a shirt pin. And then,
yeah,
of course, my shirt for the Cauliflower Alley Club because it's got Mr. Jackson on it right there.
so
Mr. Jackson, it's nasty.
yeah, everyone that got put into the hall this past week, you know, Sting, Kurt Angle, Dudley Boys, Gary Jackson, they're all on that shirt. So
So
that shirt
this
is very
picture,
cool.
you can see the picture like this better. This is what's on the shirt. You got all
Yes,
of them on there.
that's kind of cool having one of our boys, you know, Gary Jackson, on a shirt that has Sting and Kurt Angle and all of them. So that was pretty cool. I wish I would have picked up one of those shirts, but I never got to it. And then the last night they were there, they were all out of the big guy sizes. So there ain't no way I'm going to fit into the medium. So. But yeah, so these are just a couple of pictures of the guys that were inducted. Right there's the Dudley Boys. Now they actually had JBL induct them, and JBL is one of the funniest guys they have speak because he was telling stories about the Dudley Boys. You know, right before they came into the WWE, another ECW group came in, and I had their name in my head. Public Enemy. They came in and they were supposed to be the new, tough tag team. And at the time, JBL was partners with Ron Simmons. And the story goes, um, they were wrestling, and evidently, Public Enemy said that they were too rough with them. So they became rougher and started beating them up with steel chairs and putting them through tables and really just beat the crap out of them. And they actually got fired or quit, depending on who you're listening to, that same night. And when when the Dudley Boys came in, JBL and Ron Simmons thought it was just going to be the same thing. Another tag team from ECW coming in, thinking they're hot shit. And they did the same thing. They put the boots to them really good and was hitting with everything they had. And at the end of the night, they thanked them for the match and said, can't wait to do it again. And JBL said they knew right then that that was a solid tag team and they were going to stay because they threw everything at them and in return, they thanked them for it. So, but there was also another little story that JBL said that Bubba knew a lot of people in New York at this time. And when they went up there for a show, they ended up losing time and stayed there for 30 days. And JBL said he heard it was a great time because he don't remember any of it. So, but,
I'll tell you, there's one common story with ECW guys. They know how to party.
right. And, the Dudley Boys, they made the TLC match pretty famous, Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys. They were the first ones to do a match like that where they involved ladders, tables, and chairs. And, I think they were in the first three, if I'm not mistaken. And hands down, that became a pay-per-view. Just because their matches were so good that the whole pay-per-view involved around that. The TLC pay-per-view. Now, I don't even think that they still have that because they have so many names of pay-per-views now. So I think they end up taking that name off of the pay-per-view slot. But it was definitely, if you watched any of those matches, those were some great matches. Now, I believe that's Lex Luger, ain't it?
Yep.
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 All right. So Lex Luger was there to support Sting. So Luger came out and
It looks like
and
2021 was the last TLC.
yes, I thought so. Once they bought WCW, they could have used any of those names, and they have. So
I say it seems like NXT's using a lot of those now.
that's true too. But they got wrestling involves, so they're always and now any match can have a chair or a table or a ladder in it nowadays. So it's not distinctive to just one pay per view anymore. Um, it's kind of what they say is if the fans see it more often, they get used to it. So it's not a special thing. So now they're used to it, so it's not special. But anyway, Lex Luger, so he was there to induct Sting. Sting got, I think it was that Mike. Let me make sure I get this right. Mike McKenzerke Award, and that's like the top award for the CAC. So Sting got inducted by Lex, and Lex talked about his life story. A little too much, I might say, because at one point I felt like, well, we're here for Sting. Um, why are we getting your whole autobiography? But, he talked about how his low life, his period where it was the lowest he ever hit, Sting was always there. Sting always called him, even though Lex never picked up the phone. And Sting would always leave a voice message saying that you're worth it. You just got to find God. And that was a lot that night. Actually, both nights. Not to make it a joking matter, but a lot of them hit rock bottom and then found religion and found God and was able to pull themselves back out. Um, but Lex was one of them, and he talked about how Sting never let him down and was always there for him, even though he didn't want him to be. And then Sting talked about his rock bottom and how he, thought he was a great provider because he was making millions, and everyone around him was provided for, his kids, his wife, except for that's when he started doing his, getting into drugs and alcohol and adultery and stuff like that. And then how, he got born again, found religion, found God, and was able to redeem himself. And then, he talked about how he, made sure that he pulled Lex through it as well. Buff Bagwell, I think he was on Wednesday night, but Buff was the same way, going through his rock bottom, and how, DDP was his thing, basically. DDP kept, calling him and getting him back involved into wrestling and back into his program that he does. So, I mean, there's a lot of great wrestlers out there, legends out there, trying to give back and help other wrestlers, do better with themselves.
Gary Jackson's acceptance speech was not like that.
No. Matter of fact, Gary Jackson's, I think, hands down, was the best speech. He didn't stand behind the mic. Well, the bench that all of them stood behind.
I said, you can see the photo there. There's the podium, and he's out, like, up and down the stage giving his speech. His felt more like a wrestling promo, what we were there for.
Right. And, he, told his story, told how he was in the WWF, WCW, NWA, and was able to tell everyone that the reason why he was in every place was he was always ready. I think that was the theme of Gary Jackson's speech, was he was always ready. All the promoter had to do was call him and tell him when and where, and he would be there. And he said that that's one thing that's missed out on the new generations is they expect to get there, but they're never ready when they get called, along the lines of that. But hands down, it was the best speech because at the end of it, everyone stood up and gave him a standing ovation on it. So, hands down, he had the best speech. And Herb Simmons was the one that inducted him. And he kind of talked about the other promoters, doing what SICW did this year, where SICW had 3 tables. It was like 10 people at each table, so we had about 30 people representing SICW, and how SICW.
This isn't even our first time having people at 3 different tables.
Right, and but he talked about how they did a contest where a couple won, and they won, the free round trip to Vegas, the Cauliflower Alley stay, the hotel stay, and he challenged all the other promoters there because before he announced all this stuff, he asked how many promoters were there and for them to raise their hands, and so they all raised their hands, and kind of like hooked them, and then told them what the reason why he wanted them to raise their hands, because he wanted to see what SICW was able to bring to the CAC this year. And
he said,
he even had us all stand up and get acknowledged. But there is a lot of promoters there. And, different side note, that's why we show up there too, is because there's a lot of promoters there, so we can talk to them, build up relationships with them, and possibly go work their territory or vice versa. But Herb put a challenge to them that next year they got to come up with something to bring to the table as well. And especially since, we been doing this the last few years, but he wasn't awarded the promoter of the year. Another guy did, and not saying that he didn't deserve it either, because he's the one that put the Glow Girls together. He's the one that did Women of Wrestling, and I think there's another promotion that he put together as well. I think it's actually Shimmer. He put that promotion together. So I mean, the guy has contributed to the wrestling world as well, so he deserves that. But I think for the CAC, Herb Simmons and SICW does a lot for them. Yeah, so this is Buff Bagwell. This is when he was giving his speech. And yeah, he said he had a 20-year dark period before DDP reached out to him and got him out of it. And Bobby has previously talked about it in the past about Buff and his X-rated videos, and everyone knows about him being fired from WWE because his mama called in sick for him, and at WWE was like, you're too old, bud, to have your mama call in sick for you. So it was pretty cool to see him. Seeing that he was still mobile. I did notice he was wearing a knee brace most of the time when he was standing in the nostalgia room. But he was very well dressed for this. Now, I didn't send you a picture of the guy from what you talking about, Willis? Yeah, I didn't send I don't think I sent a picture of him.
Yeah,
We were
right there.
actually. Oh, okay. We were sitting right behind him, and they always do a video package before the inductor gets on stage. And I tell you, his video package talked about him being a young actor, and then it talked about him going to jail. And as soon as that part came up, he goes, "Oh man, why did I have to put that in there?" And then they talked about how he rose above and got out of the situation that he was in. But it was just funny because he's being awarded this award, and he was shocked that they put, because they actually had a picture of him, his mugshot. He's like, what? Why you guys got to put that in there? But he talked about his life and his love of professional wrestling. And Jimmy Hart got on the microphone before he handed him his plaque and talked about the whole Hogan's celebrity wrestling TV show that they did, and how Jimmy Hart wanted him to win. Who did he say actually won that?
I don't remember who he said won, but was it Hogan and Bischoff voted against him?
Yeah, Hogan and Bischoff voted against him, but Jimmy Hart was the one that wanted him to win because he had done so well. Man, I wish I could remember who they voted for. Yeah, Google that, Bobby. See what Google says. But he was great. He talked about his celebrity pro fight that he had, the boxing match, and talked about the whole Hulk Hogan's celebrity wrestling. And he was great. I actually tripped him on accident. He had got up, I guess, to go get some more food or maybe to the bathroom. Like I said, I was sitting right behind him. And so when he got up and went to go, I'm a big guy, so my feet are all spread out, and he actually tripped over me.
I don't know how I forgot this because it was a member of his NWO, Dennis Rodman.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes.
I think there's a little bit
Dennis
of
Rodman.
little history and favoritism.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, it was a great stories he was talking about. Who else you got there? Who else did we send you pictures of?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, Kurt Angle. So, Kurt Angle, of course, he talked about, his Olympian career, his WWE and then going to TNA, and he slightly talked about his um, bad time, when he was addicted to pain pills, but how he was able to get out of it. Now, Kurt Angle, though, he's a great guy. I actually got to talk to him for a little bit, and yeah, very down to earth. And I didn't realize how short he was. Like, I mean, my
Yeah,
picture with him, he is.
yeah,
Now,
I've had it up a couple times. It's you kind of tower over him.
yeah. Now, granted, he probably lost some height from all of his neck surgeries. Because that's what shrunk Hogan too, all of his back surgeries. But I was really
It's not,
shocked that he was so short.
it's not like he was a giraffe, had neck surgery, and went down 6 inches below you.
Well,
I'd
he
say
broke.
now this might be when he was at his height before surgeries, but he's billed at 6 foot even.
Okay. Well, he had 3 broken necks,
Yeah.
so 3 neck surgeries. So I'm sure it did take an inch and a half or something off of him. Um, but so down to earth. So I mean, he he stayed there until everyone who wanted to shake his hand or take a picture with him did it. Some of the guys, like Rey Mysterio, the first year he was there, he stuck around, did the same thing, took a picture with everyone, talked to everyone. Second year he was there to induct Conan. And as soon as he was done and Conan took his reward, he was out. So sometimes, I guess it's a hit and miss. The Dudley boys received their reward the first night, but stuck around for the second night, or vice versa. Either they got their reward on the second night, but still came in on the first one. But
No,
regardless,
you
they
had it
were
right the
there
first time.
both days.
You had it right the first time. They got the award first night and then stuck around the second night.
Yeah, and again, RVD, wasn't on the poster or anything like that, but he was there. Um, so that was cool. Sabu was there. Of course, he wasn't on the poster or anything like that. There was a couple of talents from AEW that were there. They were also at the wrestling show as well. Um, so that was very cool. Let's see here. Jim Ross wasn't able to show up. Jim Ross is going through cancer treatments as well. He was the first. I mean, that was the very first Jim Ross award, so they were going to give it to him since they were naming that category after him. But he was feeling ill, so he didn't show. Um,
Yeah, Allison Danger was there for the Women's Wrestling Award. You
and
had the Lucha Libre Award. Negro Casas was there. And then also his son-in-law, which is a great luchador, Psycho Clown. He was also there.
yeah, the mask that he wore, Psycho Clown, was pretty cool. It looked like he had 3 faces, one on each side and then the middle one. The mask was very cool, and evidently he has a set of twins. At least they look like twins. They were both wearing the same outfits. It looked to be, a range, I would say 6 to 9 years old, maybe. But they were wearing the same masks, so it was very cool to see those kids roaming around. And Bobby pointed out to me that he was eating dinner in his mask. Like he was able to
Forward
stretch
open.
the mouth and feed himself. So that was kind of cool. Um,
You had Bill Alfonso had the Charlie Smith Referee Award. Got my picture with him and RVD together. Then you had the James C. Melby Historian Award, Jason Presley. And then the Courage Award was Black Bart. And that was actually the picture you had at JBL was when he was introducing Black Bart, but Black Bart wasn't there.
yeah,
He was
Black
going through a
Bart's
lot of treatment right
another
now.
one dealing with cancer. He actually, when he was supposed to come into our fan fest, He was dealing with cancer and beat it, but it was kind of short lived. He got it back, and now he's trying to beat it once again. But they did have a video of him, and he talked about everything that he's gone through. JBL talked about how they're still got not a foundation, but one of those
GoFundMe's.
GoFundMe's for him. And JBL, when he came to the first Fan Fest for SICW, he donated all the money that he made, for signing autographs and being paid to be there to Black Bart.
So the story of his trench coat there was when he first met Black Bart, he was wearing the trench coat as well as Black Bart. So Black Bart basically is like, "Who's this little pissant stealing my character all the time?" And so that's why he put that on there, just to introduce him.
That is funny. The Custer and the cowboy hat.
Yeah, but I tell you, he did a lot. JBL did a lot this year regarding to inducting people and getting up there and talking stories and telling stories. He was great. And again, he hung out with us every night at the bar. Everyone was there, and it was great. The funny part that I enjoyed was there was the casino boss. He wasn't one of the people shooting one of the dealers or anything like that. He was in charge of the dealers, and he fanboyed out. Haku had walked by him, and he goes, "Is that Haku?" Just talking to another dealer that was standing next to him. And as I walked by, I said, "Yes." And Bob Orton Jr. is right there, and that one over there is JBL. And I just started pointing all these guys out to him, and he was like, "Oh my God." You could tell he wanted to leave his zone, but he would have got in trouble if he would have. But it was funny because half these people, half these wrestling legends, are just freely well, not half, all of them are just freely walking around, and a lot of times they're not getting stopped because this is Vegas. Everyone's involved in gambling and the slots and all this stuff, so they don't really pay attention to who's walking the floor. And to see a guy all of a sudden start realizing that there's so many wrestling legends walking around, that just put a smile on my face watching him light up. And even the bartender, our first night, Bobby, I don't think you were with us, but me and Ruby and a couple other guys were at the bar. And on one end of the bar was Attila and Haku, and me and Ruby were sitting next to each other, and our friend Frank Murphy was sitting with us, and the bartender, didn't react. He was all busy about wiping his bar, getting the drinks out to everyone. By the second night, he was comping drinks because he knew who everyone was, and you can tell his mood changed, that he didn't expect us to come back the second night, and then he was thrilled when we came back the third night. So I mean, it was just funny how everyone started realizing what was happening in this hotel.
So I know he told Herb Simmons, because all the seats at the bar have like a video slot machine. He's like, just every once in a while, put a quarter in, and then you get free drink. It's like as long as you're gambling, you don't have to be nonstop, but as long as you're gambling, you get free drinks.
So it was kind of cool, and I say that both Iowa and the CAC kind of need to work on that, because there was no signs, no commercials, no billboards, no nothing saying, not even outside the building saying, "Hey, this Cauliflower Alley Club, Legends of Wrestling in the house this week." I think they could have built it. They want to make it bigger and better. They should announce that they're there, but they don't. And the same thing with Iowa. In the city of Waterloo, Iowa, with all the legends that showed up for the Hall of Fame, not a poster, nothing. And there was a wrestling show that night, so um, you know, I'm sure that wrestling promoter, which is Troy Peterson, he was probably promoting it for his wrestling shows, but nothing in the city, you know. And that's like an old NWA town, so uh, a lot of people there probably still remember the NWA being there, and there was not a billboard or a sign or anything saying, "Hey, all these legends are going to be in town. Stop by, get an autograph, get a picture." I think both of these companies are kind of missing that little aspect. Wrestling, and Herb would tell you, wrestling, and we still do this. We promote. We hang posters up. Uh, Used to hang flyers up on telephone poles and trees, and going to your nearest grocery store and hanging up the flyers. Like me and Nate, we hang up the big posters at I hang it at my stepfather's bar. There's some other mechanic shops that I know that we hang them out at. And that's how you get this word of mouth, this buzz going. And both of these places, I think, missed the boat on that, because if you didn't know they were there, you would have never known they were there.
I'd say
And both of these,
the tricky part about doing that with Cauliflower Alley Club, though, is you got to be a member to get a banquet ticket. Now, I guess you could put a thing where you just combine the two prices together and become a member real quick.
yeah, you figure Vegas, you're there to spend money, you're there to be entertained. So if you're a wrestling fan and you happen to be in Vegas, you would think they would give them an option to become a member and a banquet dinner, ticket right then and there. And how cool would that be, that your first night of being a member, and all of a sudden you're involved in this dinner with all these legends? I mean, that would be unthinkable. But they should be able to do that. Now, I did see some fans did show up with a bunch of figures that they were trying to catch them as they walked out the door, to try to get them to autograph the figure and stuff like that. So some people knew, but man, it would be a bigger crowd if they had that. Even leading up to these days that we're out in Vegas, like the hotel that we stayed at. If they had an announcement or billboard or something in the hotel saying, "Hey, next month we're going to have 70 plus wrestlers come in, that you can become a member of the CAC and be able to eat and mingle with them," how much that would build. But like I said, they just missed the boat with some of these things.
It's kind of a
However,
matter of attracting new and younger fans also. Most of them do not know the legend, so you have to integrate.
well, I mean, everyone knows Sting. Everyone knows Kurt Angle. They should have really pushed on that, because, just yesterday, AEW had their big pay-per-view. They were in London, and Sting was there. Sting showed up. Sting was at the pay-per-view. I mean, he actually got involved in the pay-per-view. So, this is a legend in our eyes, but he's also a current talent for AEW. So, just missing the boat on a few things, but hopefully they see that and they start changing, because even Iowa, I know I keep comparing the two, but Iowa has a slogan, "Bring a friend" is their slogan. So, yeah, bring a friend, but advertise it. You would get so much better, so much more of a return.
Well,
But hands down,
is it fair to say that the CAC is viewed more of like a members club than just a place where the public can go?
yeah, it is a members club, But to be honest with you, to become a member, it takes $25 a year, or you become a lifetime member, and I think it's $300. So still, even at the lifetime membership, it's $300 one time, and then you can go there every single year, or $25 a year to go there. To become a member. So we're not talking.
And it takes 5 minutes to sign up.
Yeah, we're not talking a whole lot of money or a lot of time to do this. So any wrestling fan could have access to this. And Herb, like I said, did a great job of talking about it. We did a great job, I think, of talking about it. As a matter of fact, I think our two companies, the Squared Ring podcast and SICW, is probably the driving force behind the CAC, because I didn't, on social media, I belong to a lot of wrestling fan clubs and stuff like that, but I've never seen anyone else talk about it. Now, I do belong to Troy Peterson's group, which is the promoter from up in Iowa. So I was seeing the feed on, the Waterloo, Iowa one. But that's just one promoter. To get this word out, you need more promoters to spread it. And I'm glad that Herb did challenge the other promoters. So it'll be interesting next year to see what they do. Because we had a lot of representation, and Herb made us all stand up, and they all clapped and cheered for us. But at the same aspect, it's something that they could have done too. And I tell you, I was talking to another guy, and we were talking about the ACE Academy and how we can even require that as part of the training. You come here, you're already paying us money to train you. You're already coming here so many nights. But we've talked about, well, maybe we can, like I said, it's only $25 for a year. Say this is a requirement. Once you get through your training and you become a graduate, you have to be a member of the Cauliflower Alley Club. At least that's another way for us to keep building this organization up.
Kind of like an insurance policy.
Right. Plus, it doesn't matter how long you've been a wrestler. And God knows when you're green, a beginner wrestler, you get hurt a lot more and a lot easier because you don't know what you're doing. So to, even be a newbie, a couple years in the business, as long as you're a member of the CAC, sometimes you don't even have to be a member. Sometimes it just takes your promoter saying, hey, this guy is a great talent, but he did break his arm and he has no insurance. Can we help him out? And they'll do that. So I think it's just a great thing. Plus, it's a way for them to learn about the legends and about a business like this. Not necessarily that they have to come out to Vegas. I mean, it would be great for them because the networking alone would be great for them. I can definitely see Brandon. Brandon, I think, should have came out to Vegas because he's on fire right now. Saturday, he debuted on the NWA YouTube channel for the first time. He had his first match on there. And it was a nice squash match. He really just smashed the guy down, and it was probably over in less than 5 minutes. But still, Brandon is networking on his own. So if he were to come out to Vegas and be able to be around all these other promoters, it's a lot easier to network when everywhere you turn is another promoter and a new territory that you can go to.
I think Brandon's been watching me wrestle a little bit. I saw a few of my moves in that match.
The commentators for that match too said that, and I reposted the video, and they go, Brendan Britta was trained by the amazing Bob Orton, and I stuck that on the title there, and of course it did say and now by EC3, which is the NWA champion, which is who he's been going back and forth Ohio, I think, is where he's been going to train with him.
Yeah,
But
Cleveland.
but he's doing his own network. But just think about where he can go with 30 other promoters in one room and being able to, get booked. Um, so, I mean, it's a great networking place. But, yeah, I mean, hands down, regardless of what the little knick-knack things that I've been picking at, hands down, it's great to go to. It's the only other place I know besides Waterloo that you can have a fancy dinner, dress up, see some people that you grew up idolizing, being able to meet them, get a picture, get an autograph, um, and plus all the other legends that were just hanging. Cuban Assassin. He's been coming to a lot of these fan fests. And matter of fact, he was the one that inducted uh, Buff Bagwell because no, it wasn't him. Who did he induct? He inducted Bill Alfonso because they were best friends before they started in the wrestling. And of course, Cuban Assassin went the wrestling route, and Bill Alfonso went the refereeing route. But the
He
one,
said they knew each other since kids. That he picked on Bill Alfonso as a kid.
yeah, yeah. And then there's a guy, I'm going to butcher it. I'm not even going to say his name. He's, how there's a lot of nature boys. There's Ric Flair, there's Nature Buddy Rogers. There's another nature boy that's out there, and he's always there at the CAC. And, he inducted Buff Bagwell. And it was kind of cool to see because all you see of him is, oh, there's another nature boy pretending to be Ric Flair. But it was cool to see that he had still a connection with these legends that they wrestled together. And it was pointed out to me that this nature boy is booked every weekend. So, even if you make fun of him for being another nature boy, he is making his money. So, but hands down, if you're a wrestling fan, this is a place for you to go. Like I said, even with all the little nitpicking things, still, there's no other place like the CAC, and especially since their turf is Las Vegas, where when you have free time, you can go down Fremont Street and eat at some fancy, not even fancy restaurants. We ate at a pizza place that was for Evil Knievel. And the bar was pretty cool looking. It had stickers everywhere, and the food was great. I mean, you can have a famous steak place, which Bobby did. I didn't actually go with him that day because I thought we were going to go a different day to it, but he went one day with Jason Jones and some other people. But you can also have White Castle. Or there's like a ramen noodle joint down there too that is great. So I mean,
Jason Jones, me, and Jimmy Hart. And apparently Jimmy Hart's not a fan of prime rib.
what?
He had a baked potato and onion rings.
I had the prime rib last year, and prime rib is great. But yeah, so hands down, you should go to it. It's a great week. You can network, you can meet some legends. But besides that, we ended this week with the Devils. The Little Devils had a fundraiser. Of course, Bobby is one of the head people at the Little Devils. Well, he was also the main event at this fundraiser. No,
I don't know about head people. I am a board member, but I'm not on the executive board. That's too much. That's a lot of extra work.
that. So it was a great fundraiser. I think you came out ahead, money wise, and
We did too.
on your match. Me and Gary, we went against Kowalski and Axe. It was a very brutal back and forth. But we were able to, win our match. Of course, Gary, actually Axe put Gary where he's going to pile drive Gary again, but Gary was able to force out of it and flipped Axe over him. And then as soon as Axe stood up, I larried him, and he went right back down. So we were able to get out of our match unscathed. And I actually grabbed the microphone and I said, "All right, Bobby, we won ours. Now we expect you to win yours." So, Bobby, how'd yours turn out?
Turned out pretty well. We got to the ring, and of course there were a lot of fans cheering for me. Not as many for Glenn Williams. And then he had to grab the mic and open his mouth. And I listened to it for about as long as I could before I put an end to it. And so, a little bit dirty, but I jumped him before the bell just because I was tired of hearing him talk about my little devils and all of us Bellevillians. And, he had Sean Vincent out there, who every time I thought I was going to get a pin on Glenn Williams, hit me with this freaking cane. Sorry, my fan's making weird noises. No, it was falls count anywhere, so no disqualifications. I mean, I got hit with a stop sign. I got hit with chairs. I got hit with a fire extinguisher. It was all over the place. Ended up getting the victory on him. Sean Vincent, he tried one too many times to hit me with that damn cane. Got it and hit him with it. Got the sharpshooter on Glenn Williams, and then Trent Daniels comes out of nowhere. I don't even know where he came from. He wasn't out there the entire match. Hits me. They try to hold me up so that he can hit me again. I move. He hits. Glenn hit him. It was a long night. And then threw Glenn out. Gave him the pedigree on one of those steel picnic tables and got the victory.
Nice. Now, I did see that when I came out to congratulate you, you were busted open a little bit, so I guess they must have got you good. It must have been with that stop sign or something, because I seen a stop sign in play.
There was a stop sign, but no, it was I got dropped hold into a chair and then thrown into a ring post right after.
Oh, well, that would do
I was
it.
going to ask you, last year was flames and blood. That's the last one. No, there has to be blood at Christmas too.
He definitely bled more last year than he did this year.
I say it was not as much blood.
But then again, last year was a steel cage match, so it's kind of hard not to bleed in a steel cage match.
Yeah.
So,
especially since our steel cage is that old school like rebar style versus your chain link that gives way.
Yeah, right. But it was definitely a good time. Everyone in Belleville knows Bobby. Of course, it's his home field, so he was like Rocky. Where all the fans, come and join him on the top of the stairs. Where all the kids join him in the ring. And I tell you, when I went to congratulate Bobby, I stayed on the outside of the ring because you couldn't even get inside the ring anymore because there's so many kids that climbed up there and was congratulating him.
Hell, during the Ludacris concert, people were asking Bobby for an autograph more than Ludacris. So,
right.
I don't know about more, but a couple.
But yeah, so it was definitely a great week of wrestling. CAC, the Belleville Little Devils. It just the Little Devils just ended the week off right, and we got 1 week of a break. This coming weekend we are actually off, so I'm going to take advantage of that. It being the holiday weekend. Probably get one last swim in on the pool and everything, and then we're off to the races again, literally, because we got Sandoval, we got the actual racetrack, and then we're just hitting up all these fundraisers too. And we're back in Collinsville. So it goes Collinsville on September the 7th. So we're back there at the Fireman's Hall. It's going to be me and Kowalski for the title. And I think the other one is going to be a hair versus, I don't know what you call it. I hate the word to use, slavery, but if Glenn Williams beats Billy McNeil, Billy is going to shave his head. Now, I've never seen this kid bald, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But if
Billy
Billy
has long
beats
hair.
Glenn, if Billy beats Glenn, Glenn has to be his manservant for 30 days. So it's going to be interesting. So those are the two matches that's on the poster. I don't know what else. I'm sure Bobby D is going to be there. I'm sure Attila is going to be there. But we have that night on September 7th. Then I think it's Sandoval on the 14th. And then I think it's the racetrack on the 21st. But we're booked pretty much every weekend after this one. So it's going to be crazy. You can track down the dates if you want to on sicw.org. All the list of dates are on there. All the TV tapings that you can come to, they'll all be on there. It's just going to be crazy because our Mac show got announced. That date got announced. Some of the people got announced. It's going to be there. Tito Santana is going to be there. JBL is going to be there. Now, this is a private show, so we will be able to talk about it, prior to it and afterwards. It's not open to the public. It's a private show. But I don't know. The rumors were going around that they were trying to get Hulk Hogan there. I don't know because I know he wanted a personal jet to fly him in and fly him out, and his fee is pretty outstanding. So I don't know if this will come true or not. It would be
After
great.
what he did to himself with his mouth this past couple of weeks, his fee should go down.
Well, I did hear a story. I don't know how true it is, but it was on social media that he was at one of his beer signings, and someone got co-cocked with a beer can. Now, Hogan says it was one of his publicists. A lot of people there said no, it was Hogan, but someone was throwing beer cans out into the crowd, and I guess this lady wasn't realizing what was happening and got co-cocked and actually went unconscious and ended up getting stitches and everything. So, depending on who you believe, but hands
It
down,
won't matter.
Hogan's
If
always
she
going to be a
sues,
draw.
legally wise, it won't matter because it's his publicist and his signing, so he's liable anyway.
Right.
So
But
he'd be
Hogan's
stuck.
always a draw. Hogan's always going to be the main legend, that's out there.
It's 30 grand for a private jet to fly him in and fly him out. He's not that big for the Mac.
I mean, the Mac can definitely pay for it. So,
They have money.
yeah,
Yeah, they
the
do.
Mac is full of lawyers and doctors and sports guys. So I mean, they definitely, it's an organization with a lot of money. So they can definitely afford whoever they want. They try to get Ric Flair. Of course, rumor has it that they paid him, and he still no-showed them. So we'll see who's going on this. But again, it's a great show for us because the atmosphere in this place is just outstanding. It was the closest thing to wrestling at the Chase, even though we got to wrestle at the Chase. But up until that point, it was the closest thing to it because the chandeliers, the cigar smoke, and the everyone's in their best dress. Yeah. So the rest of this year, we're just packed solid. So definitely, if you want a chance to see SICW, just hit sicw.org. It'll tell you all the dates and where to go. And there's plenty of opportunity because we're even coming back to the Belleville Fairgrounds here pretty soon.
I gotta say, so I finally found in our old group chat the dates. If you want me to list them through, if you want me to go through September and October.
At least through September.
September 7th, we're back at the Fireman's Hall with TV tapings on the 8th. We're on the 14th. We're in Sandoval. September 28th, we are back at the WWT Raceway. October 5th, we are Fairgrounds or the Fire Hall, not really sure yet. With the 6 being TV tapings. October 12th, Fairmont City. October 19th, Ionide Shriners in East St. Louis. October 26th, Bree Center Community High School. Which with that one, I just found out recently that's one of my former wrestlers' dad started the wrestling program at the high school there in Breeze last year. And this is a fundraiser for them to help try to get mats and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
so that's
that's
great.
another one that I'm closer to than I thought I was.
Yeah. So definitely, you guys, if you're interested in watching us live, we put on a hell of a show. Um, it's hard-nosed wrestling. Um, don't expect a whole lot of flippity-floppity stuff that you would see on YouTube that shows people getting dramatically hurt for being stupid. This is going to be a tough-nosed wrestling matches.
Yeah, the people get hurt at our shows from actual strong hand, strong arm, whatever you want to say.
Right. So, but yeah, so catch us on that, and then like Nathan was talking about in the beginning, that we might start a different format every once in a while of reviewing or rewatching old classic wrestling movies. We have to throw Roddy Piper's movies in there too. Even
They
though it's
live, of
not
course.
wrestling, but big Roddy Piper fan, so they live. We gotta sit there and watch it. So that'll
I'm
be
gonna make y'all
interesting.
watch Vision Quest.
Well,
You
Terry
know,
Funk was in the original Roadhouse, so we got to watch that.
hey, believe it or not, there's a lot of wrestling movies out there. Even if they're B-rated, there's a lot.
Oh, there
So,
you go.
and
Just
Now,
the
God
horror
knows.
ones alone, we could do the rest of this year just on the horror ones.
where do we draw the line? Because like in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Super Shredder was Kevin Nash, even though it was only a couple scenes.
Yeah, I'm a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, so
I love Super Shredder, and Kevin Nash. So, well, then Kevin Nash was in John Wick, the first one too. So,
And
yeah,
Longest Yard remake.
and the
right.
Punisher. He was the
Took
Russian in
took
the
a little bit of
Punisher.
estrogen in Longest Yard was pretty funny, but Stone Cold was in
Well,
there. Great
I think
Khali.
Bobby really likes that Kevin Nash movie where he was like a Chippendale dancer. Um,
Magic Mike.
see, he even knows the name of the movie. So yeah.
Never heard of it.
Well, he was
I
the only
I
one that
might
knew about Buff Bagwell's nude scene. So,
I might be lucky enough to guess his entire choreography, but never heard of it.
eidetic memory. That's all. No.
Plus, we might throw in a little haunting, little escapade there. We always talked about that. We're going to get closer to the Halloween season. It's almost September now. We're a week away, a little over a week away. So we might throw one of those episodes in there as well. So it's come to the time where I tell you, please like, subscribe, and share this content. I know the beginning of this video might be a little butched, but because the internet coming in and out, but hopefully Magic Nate can work his magic and fix this. But
Hey,
it
the
seemed to
second
be
half was
going.
seemed perfect though.
Yeah, second
Yeah,
half
you
is
were on
great.
Wi-Fi the whole time.
Yeah, so we finally hit the magic 400. Now our next goal is the 500. So please like, subscribe, and share, and get this content out. If you're a wrestling fan or if you're a SICW fan, you'll love this. Get a behind the scenes scoop. A couple of our guests that we've had on previous have sent me videos that kind of update where they're at. The last one we had from the
El Diablo Vega.
Luchadors. Yeah, he sent me a video because we talked about his future match that he was going to have. But he sent me that match, so I'll send it to you, Nate. We might update it on the next episode here. But yeah, definitely, help us out. We need the subscribers because we want this podcast to last. and we would like to get a little bit of feedback from you as well. So comment on these videos and let us know how you like it or you dislike it or what we need to change. Any comments will help, and it'll help build the algorithm in our favor for a change.
And the algorithm.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. All right. Well, I think we spoke enough. So appreciate you two hopping on. I know it's been a long week, and I know Nate's just got over being sick. He might not even be over it, even though he looks pretty good, but looks can be deceiving. So
Filters.
appreciate you guys getting on. And from everyone from the Squared Ring podcast, man, that's like 3 episodes in a row that I got this right.
Well, now you
Appreciate
jinxed
you
it. You're gonna mess
guys.
up the next one.
Appreciate y'all, and y'all have a good night. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.